Are you someone that struggles with tight hips or sometimes hip pain or low back pain? Or are you doing a lot of sitting, whether it be for your job or at home? I wanted to go over some quick stretches today that should be really helpful for you. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sara. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I am a family physician, wife, mom of four, and exercise enthusiast. And after my first baby, I had some pretty major issues with specifically left hip pain. I was unable to really stand up from a sitting position without significant pain. I had a lot of weakness where I almost felt like I couldn't stand up on the hip or put weight on that leg. And of course, just like I would advise you, if you're having any sort of symptoms out of the ordinary like this, you definitely seek out the advice of your physician, go in for an appointment, get examined, do all the things. So ultimately, I saw a specialist, I had imaging done, did all this stuff. And it finally was determined that likely what happened is I had some hip muscle issues that were due to getting back into my pre-pregnancy exercise routine without really building back the strength and flexibility that was lost essentially, through the labor and delivery and postpartum process. And so I really learned a lot of lessons during that time. And now I am very aware of my low back and hip flexibility and strength and how important those things are to everyday life. And so I just wanted to share two of the stretches that I do on a regular basis that really helps with my hip strength and flexibility. And I find that it also really helps with my low back and my deep core. And so, I just thought that it would be helpful to show you. Again, you always want to talk to your physician about what is the right treatment plan for you. These stretches, again, I think can be incredibly helpful whether you have pain or not. I think for people that are sitting a lot, it can really help with the strength and flexibility that you need, especially as you age, to be able to stay mobile. All right, so let me pop back here and show you the two different stretches that I do on a regular basis. And there are loads of different hip stretches you can do that target different areas. I just wanted to keep it as simple and basic as I could. So the first one is often called a runner's lunge. And so you basically get your legs into what's called a 90-90 position. And that means you have a 90-degree angle with the front leg, a 90-degree angle with the back leg. And ideally for me, I find the best way for me to do this, and you kind of have to experiment, but for me, I prefer to make sure my knee stays above my ankle in the front leg. In this position where I have my left leg forward, I am stretching the front of my right hip. And so you start with adjusting your pelvis. And so basically you want to tuck your tailbone sort of under your body, almost like it's curving this way and lifting up forward. And you'll start to feel sort of a brightness or a stretching in the front of that right hip. And that may be enough for you if you're not somebody who does hip stretches, on a regular basis. You can also, to kind of increase the stretch, you can lean your body forward, not a lot, maybe even an inch or two, and that can really get in there. Another way to intensify it is to bring your chin down to your chest. And you want to hold this and breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. And when you're doing your exhale, you want to also focus on that core engagement. So you want to be feeling the corset muscles of your deep core tighten up with the exhale. And breathe into any sticky or bright spots. Now, if you ever have pain, you want to stop. But sometimes stretching can be uncomfortable, especially this stretch in the hip flexor, the front of that right hip. If you haven't done it, you may feel a little bit of discomfort there. And so doing those deep breaths and thinking about breathing into the area of discomfort while you're sitting in that stretch can be really helpful. And the amount of time that I hold these stretches sort of varies day to day and how much time I have to stretch and which area of my body feels the tightest. But at a minimum, I typically hold my stretches for 30 seconds, ideally a minute. But again, like if I have a day where I'm like, ooh, my hips are tight, I may hold it for even longer. It just depends again on the amount of time I have and what's feeling like it needs it the most. And that's something you may think, well, how do you even know that? That's something you just sort of, with practice, will start to figure out for your body. Now, of course, whenever you have two of anything you're doing that's sided, you want to do the other side. So you carefully kind of untuck and switch to the other side. Now, I will say, and then you get into it. So you have the 90, just to review, tuck the pelvis under. You'll start to feel that stretch in the front of the left hip this time. And you can lean forward an inch or two and put the chin to the chest. And there are variations of this that, I could show in another video, but this is kind of the most basic form that's, I think, pretty accessible for most people. I will say, if you are someone that has knee issues or knee pain, this bottom knee, you could always tuck a towel or a t-shirt, something under there to provide a little bit of cushion if the mat that you have doesn't seem to be enough. So that's this stretch. The next one I wanted to go over is a little bit more advanced, I would say, but again, something that's great to practice. So this is called pigeon pose, and this is something that is frequently seen in yoga classes. It's something that comes from yoga, but it is also a great hip stretch. So you basically I get into an all fours position to get into this. I'm going to start with my right leg. So you basically bring that right leg up. And so you have your right foot is now at the left side of your mat. And you take the back leg back and down. So this is, version 1. And if this is enough for you, you stay here. And you should feel the stretch on the outside of the right hip. So you feel the stretching there. And again, it shouldn't be painful, but sometimes you can have some discomfort as you settle into it and it loosens up. And the outside of that right hip area should start to settle in. Now, if this is feeling okay and you want to advance it a little bit, you can come down to your elbows, and then you can even extend your arms out and put your head down on the mat. And so now this is stretching the outside part of your hip. And again, how long you hold it sort of depends on the amount of time you have, what you're trying to do for the day, all of that. And to get out of it, I get back up onto my hands, put my toes under on that extended back leg, lift my body up, and gently get that other leg out. And then, of course, you want to do the other side. So you curl the toes under, I lift the left leg up, slide the right leg back, settle down. And again, you may be up here initially. You sit, take some deep breaths, breathe into that left outer thigh, and then gently go down if this is something that works for you. And it may be that in the beginning you're not here and you progress to this, or it may be, this is where you always are, and that's okay. You have to do what works for you and your body. And again, the more getting into it a little bit deeper, and you always want to do those deep breaths. So you're breathing in, expanding those ribs out and then exhaling like you're blowing out hundreds of birthday candles, tightening that corset muscle. And you can keep doing that 360-degree breathing while you're doing your stretching. And I do have a video all about that. I can link that below. So then again, to get out of it, you pop your hands back up, curl those back toes under, slide that leg out. So those are the 2 hip stretches that I wanted to go over today. If you are someone that is looking for more demonstrations of stretching, of various exercises, you're trying to keep exercise simple, you're trying to be consistent, you're looking for, both physical and mental health wins, definitely subscribe here so you can learn more and watch more of my content. And if you're interested, I also have a free weekly newsletter that will be more content similar to this, going over mindset stuff, exercise tips, definitely helping with accountability. And that website is drsaraionescu.com. I'll have everything linked below. So imagine if you are someone that sits a lot, you need more flexibility and mobility in the low back and the hip area, or you're someone that has hip pain that you've had evaluated and you're just working on recovery, working on strength. And you could do stretches like this for, a couple minutes a day and see improvements. How awesome would that be? And what else could happen if you were moving on a regular basis? Definitely think about that. Follow for more. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.